Good afternoon, Zimbabweans. Makadi Muria, Zimbabwe. I know it's a good evening in Zimbabwe, good evening in South Africa, Zambia, and all the Southern African countries. Thank you so much for joining us. You are tuned in to your favorite program, Padare na Mambo Svosve. And we are live right here on ZimEye, and we are also live on Change Radio. And today, Padare, we have a young lady here who is making a lot of difference in Zimbabwe. Sithabile Dewa. Thank you so much for joining us, Star. It has been, I know you have a lot of things that you're supposed to do today, and thank you for agreeing to this interview. And I know a lot of people would want to know who is Sithabile Dewa. Of course, a lot of people know that at one time you were accused of trying to remove Emmerson Mnangagwa, and you were charged with treason. If you can just tell us about that and briefly about yourself so that people here know who we are talking to.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Zimbabwe, and hello, everyone. My name is Sithabile Dewa. I'm a human rights and women's rights activist. In 2019, I was arrested together with 6 other human rights defenders when we were coming from an Asian country where we'd gone for a training on peace building and human rights. And we were charged with attempting to overthrow the government. And we stayed in prison at Shikurubi maximum prison for 2 weeks, and we were given bail. And the case was pending before the courts for close to a year or more than a year. Then we were later on from remand after the state failed to take us for trial because of lack of evidence. So what we did soon after our acquittal, we then took the government to court where we are suing the government for defamation of character and all the trauma that we went through. So the cases are standing before the courts.
So were you cleared of the charges?
Yes, we were cleared. There was no way that we were going to go on trial because there was no evidence whatsoever. We don't even understand how the rumor, the false allegations started. But it's quite interesting that one of the persons who started talking about us being trained to remove the government in Maldives, who's known as Zindoga, who was then still an editor with him, who was later on charged out and is now speaking against the human rights violations in Zimbabwe. It's interesting considering that he was the one who got into all this trouble in the first place. The reason why he did that up until now, we do not know.
That's powerful. To all those who are just joining us, we are talking to Sithabile Dewa, and Sithabile Dewa is one of the young people that are in the trenches in Zimbabwe. She was just explaining here about her treason charges. She was charged with trying to overthrow Emmerson Mnangagwa's government. But we have always said that Emmerson Mnangagwa must go. He needs to go. He needs to be removed. And we'll continue to say that. But here, as you have heard her say, she had nothing to do with the charges that were being leveled against her. She was not guilty. And as a result, she was cleared of those charges. But that's the trend we have in Zimbabwe, that activists are just being labeled, accused of, fraudulent charges, and then dragged in jail. And that's very unfortunate. And I just like that at least you had the guts to sue the government. How do you see that case unfolding?
We really can't tell, but all things being equal, we should be able to win the case because the allegations and the accusations are coming absolutely from nowhere. There's no way they can get away with it. Fortunately, it didn't stop with us. We have seen a lot of arrests of human rights defenders, women rights defenders, the likes of Joanna, Cecilia, Netsai. We have seen Namatai, Fadzamaere, Tsidangarimbo going through the same horrendous experience. So we hope that by standing up and challenging the government on the false allegations will kind of like in a way dictate future falsehoods against other human rights defenders in the future.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. Maybe moving on, can you just tell us briefly about your organization and how you're trying to work with women in Zimbabwe?
With an organization named Women's Academy for Leadership and Political Excellence, WALPI, where our main niche is increasing number and quality of women who make it into public office. These are women who want to be councillors, MPs, some of them they want to be presidents, some they want to take community leadership positions such as school development committees, health center committees, village ward development committee. So we mobilize, we identify those women across the political divide, we take them through long-term trainings, as women are really disadvantaged in Zimbabwe in terms of opportunities because of patriarchy. Most of women, they don't have the technical know-how and the skills to successful campaign, and this has resulted in very few women making it into leadership positions. If you check 2018 statistics, the number of women who are making it into leadership position is actually instead of increasing. We thought we could do a deliberate effort of identifying those who want to run and walk the leadership journey with them, and beyond just building their capacity in terms of providing trainings, we also do intergenerational mentorship and coaching exercises, and beyond just the capacity building, there are issues that do affect women from effectively occupying leadership positions, such as issues to do with uneven electoral environment where you see women being subjected to political violence, both intra-party, inter-party, state-sponsored women are harassed, some arbitrarily arrested, there are issues of vote buying. So how do we collectively identify these issues and pursue them through advocating for the implementation of outstanding electoral reforms that affect women's participation in electoral processes?
Wow, that's powerful. You are doing such a good job. And now I want your honest opinion on the progress Zimbabwe has made towards women empowerment. You know, looking at both the treatment of women in ZANU-PF, MDC Alliance, and other political parties, civic organizations, and government. Is there any meaningful progress?
The progress has been there if you want to compare with the past, but it's not as pronounced as what we would have envisaged in 2021. For example, in 2013, there was it was introduced where we had more women being added in parliament, 60 women under section 124 of the constitution. But we thought that by adding more women in parliament, it was going to capacitate these women, assuming that those women will be first timers, will be young women. So we thought that the provision would capacitate these women to get into parliament, get the skills, go back, run for constituencies, and get more women as we go forward. But unfortunately, the case has been so. In 2018, we actually had very few women winning constituencies and that were directly elected, as we saw older women opting to leave constituencies and going for safer seats under the parliamentary quota system. And in 2021, again, we saw that there was 30% provision of council seats. We are not really sure whether it's going to be on top of the current 1,958 or it's going to be within. So instead of government fully implementing clear constitutional provisions, such as Section 17, 56, and 80 that guarantee gender parity, that is having 50% of leadership positions with women and 50% with men, they're just implementing piecemeal provisions in terms of quota systems that are actually doing a disservice. Right now, we don't have some parliamentarians in parliament whom we thought that if everyone was, it would make our work easy in terms of advocating for the full implementation of these provisions, which fall under outstanding electoral reforms. And not only the provisions that are affecting women, the environment is even, the economy is not doing well. And as a result, we have seen the monetization of electoral processes where if you don't have money, you'll not be able to make it. If you can't get into communities giving people sugar, rice, T-shirts, you will not be able to win even during primary elections. So you see, even the current poverty in Zimbabwe is affecting women more. So most of the women who are in the informal sector, they can't get in to take care of their families and also leave some resources for campaigning. So these are some of the challenges that we're experiencing. And one of the other major challenges is issues of political violence. And this is broader to just basic gender-based violence, where women are suffering violence at partner level, at household, family level, in the public places, issues of sexual harassment, and also in political parties. And unfortunately, it's covering all the political parties in Zimbabwe. The environment is not for women to effectively participate. And right now, we have another round of elections that is coming within 24 months, much that has been done by political parties to make sure that the environment is even for women to fully participate. But that we have seen some political parties that are beginning to talk about 50-50. I saw there was a press conference that was done by the MDC Alliance President Maikore, who indicated that the party in 2023 will make sure that all the seats from parliament to council are occupied by women. So it is now our duty as civil society to monitor and see that that comes to fruition. And we hope that other political parties will follow suit. But unless these issues of voter buying, outstanding electoral access to media for women, and political violence are not addressed, we continuously record lower numbers of women in leadership positions.
And you mentioned that the issue of Michael, and because I know she wants to raise the issue of women abuse in Parliament. You know, Parliament is supposed to be addressing these very issues that you are raising here. And we have had situations where we've seen, Chinotimba taunting members of Parliament like Joanna Mamombe using the H word on her. You know, so where do these women go? Because the Parliament is supposed to be addressing these issues, but we are seeing Zimbabwean women being harassed even, in the legislature.
Yeah, that's the challenge that I'm mentioning, that the environment is not in, because you expect the Parliament to hold the highest esteem principles of promoting gender equality. So there is a lot that needs to be done, starting from the presidium, starting from political leaders, starting even from Parliament and going down. But there are other institutions that have been set through constitutional like the Zimbabwe Gender Commission. It is its responsibility to monitor such cases of violence against women. We have, as an organization, actually taken the Joanna cases and others to the Zimbabwe Gender Commission, the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, and even to Parliament to look into the cases. Because imagine if it happens at the apex, at the policy formulation level in Parliament, what of the women who are in Binga, women in Mashingo, who have no access to social media? Because if you have not seen what happened to Joanne on social media and also in broader media, wouldn't have known that such forms of violations are taking place. And beyond just the national remedies, there are other regional and international human rights organizations where we have also take up this issue. I remember we approached the United Nations, UN, SADC, AU, and also the Interparliamentary Union, is specifically on the issue of Honorable Joanna Mamombe. We are glad that some of these institutions have actually taken this issue seriously, and the international parliamentary actually investigating the Parliament of Zimbabwe over these allegations. So we have hope this will be able to deter other future offenders and help in creating a conducive environment for women to freely, actively, and fully participate in political processes. But we still have a very long way to go.
Yes, indeed, we have a long way to go. To those who are just joining us, we are talking about women empowerment here. In fact, we are talking about women power, because women have the power. I was reading somewhere where it was said that the future is women. And I kind of like that statement. It is indeed true that the future is women. And going back, start to your organization and the good work that you're doing in Zimbabwe, talking about the women in diaspora. How can you work together with the women in diaspora? Is your organization merely for the women that are in Zimbabwe, or there are synergies that you can work out with, that you can make with the women in the diaspora, to bring that convergence?
Definitely, you cannot ignore the Zimbabweans in the diaspora, because we have quite a chunk of Zimbabweans and also women who are doing a lot of work in terms of also plowing back to communities where they have been in Zimbabwe. We have done a lot of collaborations with these women to see how best we can empower even young women so that they take up not only just political leadership, but broader leadership positions, from social entrepreneurship in the banking sector, mining, agriculture. So going forward as WALPI, we have been engaging women in the diaspora to see how best they can also influence the outcome of the 2023 elections. We will be launching a campaign in next month with the Elections Resource Center, where we want to launch a diaspora campaign where we engage women in the diaspora, many young people in the diaspora, on how they can also help in mobilizing people here in Zimbabwe to register to vote and to make sure that they defend their votes. Because we have seen that a lot has been happening. There are issues that comes, challenges when it comes to election time, issues of intimidation, harassment. But sometimes we thought that it could help if there is contact and communication coming from relatives, friends, colleagues, dependents on how the whole electoral process works. Sometimes there's mistrust, especially in the rural areas, especially when it's coming from strangers. It's a civil society, political getting into communities, mobilizing. Sometimes you face resistance because of the level of polarization and intimidation. So we are hoping that when we engage Zimbabweans in the diaspora, they'll be able to influence their dependents, their families back home, want to register to vote, to actually show up on election day and make sure that their vote counts. And as we go forward, we hope that in the process, as we engage the diasporans, they'll also be able to convince their family members to also for women in terms of councillors and also MPs. And we hope that will also increase the number of women who make it into leadership position, because I feel we cannot ignore the diasporans. If you go to countries like Nigeria, you run an election if you're a political party without buy-in of people in the diasporans. And I feel that it has been a territory in terms of determining the electoral discourse of Zimbabwe. But even it's not only us asking them to assist, but we also want to continue piling pressure on the diaspora votes. We might not be able to get it for 2023, but we believe that as the Constitution guarantees everyone's right to vote, we should be able to push and get something, even just one parliamentary seat reserved for diasporans. But if we really want that to happen, we need to come together and assist each other, advocacy and lobbying. There's a lot of work that has been done in preceding elections, and we hope to take it from there and make sure that it's the way we mobilize for the diasporans to also influence the local processes, and also see if we'll be able to engage and persuade our government to allow diasporans maybe just to vote for MPs or just for presidents and leave out the word base, because for what councillors you need to be there in that particular ward. So I feel it's just pure lack of political will on the part of our government. If they really want the diasporans to take part in the politics of there is room to make it happen, because if the statistics that were mentioned last year that diasporans brought 1 billion into Zimbabwe last year, that's a lot of money. And you have a right to also demand the right to vote. So I will keep you definitely abreast the development as we finalize on launching this campaign. And also just to highlight that, yes, the future is female, but is now. We will not wait to lead tomorrow, but we need to start leading today, because we've already been leading in various spaces that we are all operating, either it's at family level, community level, and also at the national level.
Chief, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I've faced a lot of resistance when I've talked to youth, and then I try to tell them that you are the future. And then they tell me, no, Chief, we are not the future. We are now. And I'm seeing the same thing. The women are coming in powerfully here. Viewers, as you can hear, they're saying it has to happen now. And I really like that. And you're talking of very good programs, Star. And maybe I think it's time that you should start advertising your programs on Change Radio, so that people know about these good programs that you're doing. Because some people don't even know, that you're doing so much good work. So you're welcome. Come and advertise on Change Radio. We'll give you very, very good rates.
We'll definitely come.
Yes, thank you. And I think there's something that you mentioned there that was sweet music to the people in the diaspora here. That this is something that we can do to just lobby for a seat or two to be reserved for diaspora, Zimbabweans in diaspora, and even one seat for a woman in the diaspora. That would be good. That would really be good. And I wish we can find a way around that, because we have 4 million Zimbabweans that are in the diaspora, and it would be good if we can do that. But moving on, from the way you're talking, Star, you are showing a lot of experience. You have invested a lot of effort in the Zimbabwean electoral system. What can you tell us? I mean, what have you learned from 2018, and what advice can you give to political parties, not only the MDC Alliance, even ZANU-PF and all the other political players in Zimbabwe going into 2023?
This is my personal opinion. I feel that as Zimbabweans, this is high time we start talking and deliberating on our voting system of winner takes all. I think over the years since 1980, I think evidence there that it's not working. I was in Rwanda recently, though it's contested, but I've noticed a system that is quite aggressive. And I think something that if we adopt in Zimbabwe to be able to work for us. Now start with the first past. The reason why we continuously record lower numbers of women in leadership positions is because of the electoral we are using. The first past the post where people actually vote for an individual, they like star not, or I vote for chief. So if we change and adapt to the what's it called? The proportional representation, which is done in South Africa, in Rwanda, in Kenya. Instead of voting for star, you simply vote for a political party. So whether you like me or not, it doesn't matter. If you vote for me, my political party then will choose the 50% women who are going to parliament, the 50% men who are also going to parliament, 50% of women who are going to local government, and 50% of men who are going to local government. So this helps in terms of issues of vote buying, issues of intimidation, harassment, because our electoral processes, especially the campaigns, they're quite toxic. There's a lot that happens which is quite unbearable. 2018, I was actually actively involved in the elections, and the problem is for us, we think it's just politics, it's just election, but it is negative being even on the mental well-being of someone, the way our politics is so toxic. So I believe that we need to move from the way we are doing things and start being progressive and adapt to what other countries are doing. In Rwanda, if you contest, for example, if you look at the setup of all the political parties that contested the 2018 elections, you'll be given cabinet seats depending on the number of votes that you got. You'll be given parliamentary seats depending on the number of votes that you got. So in a Zimbabwean situation, it would have meant that we would be having ZANU-PF in cabinet, MDC Alliance, and MDC in cabinet, which I feel is quite progressive, and it will help in terms of pushing for the development of the country, doing away with other things such as polarization and this back and forth with sanctions counterproductive and counter accusation. Now imagine, since 2018, we have been in a perpetual electoral mode. And even now, if you move around Harare, there are posters, flyers everywhere. Political parties are beginning to campaign again. But what have they done for us in the past 3 years? Nothing. So we really need to sit down if you are really serious about developing Zimbabwe and change the way we are doing things. The winner-take-all strategy is indeed not working in Zimbabwe.
Wow, powerful. Star, I know you told me that we have another engagement after this. We have to stick to the time we agreed, 30 minutes. But before I give you time to round up and just say your last words to Zimbabweans in the diaspora and Zimbabweans here, let me just see what the people are saying here that are watching from all over the world. Portia is saying hello, and then Barbara is saying well-articulated, Star. Womandla, okay, women, womandla, like women power. I like that. And then someone is writing about Simba. Here we have bigger human rights issues here in South Africa. We have lots of Zimbabweans in jail. And then Christopher Nyoni, hi brothers and sisters. Florence Madzivire, okay, our chair lady, North America chair lady, and rise up women, rise up. Thank you so much, Chair Lady. Memory is saying, keep it up, Star. We are doing a good job. A lot of people are saying that. But as we round up, Star, can you just talk to the women in the diaspora and women in Zimbabwe, their role to democratization in Zimbabwe, their role in 2023 as we finish?
We have one. Am I muted? Okay.
No, you're good.
Just to emphasize that we have one Zimbabwe, we have one country. I think you've seen what has happened in the past week where you saw Zimbabweans being deported from the UK. It was quite a though contentious issue, but it's quite sad. We only have country which we need to actively contribute to, and as Zimbabweans, as women, demographically, we are the majority, 52% of the population. In 2018, 54% of the registered voters were women. So we need to go beyond remember Zambia and start claiming our rights. And when we're talking about gender equality, what it literally means are seats that belong to women that are being occupied by men. So we can't expect them to give us those seats on a silver. We need to come together across the political divide and fight for the right that is guaranteed in the Constitution. The Constitution is clear that it provides for gender equality. So we really need to work hand in glove together, come up with very creative and innovative ideas that will guarantee gender parity in Zimbabwe for us and the future young women and women with disabilities to come. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Star, for coming here, and thank you for the good work that you're doing in Zimbabwe. Thank you for helping those young women, all those women that want to be in leadership positions. They need training, and you're providing it. We want to thank you for doing all that work. And thank you, Zimbabweans that have been here with us on our channels, on Change Radio and on Zim I. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate you. Have a good day. Take care of yourselves. And please tell your relatives, your friends in Zimbabwe not to attend funerals and to make sure that they are wearing masks and they are social distancing. It's COVID is killing. Maybe you can say one word about COVID, Star, before you go, because people are dying in Zimbabwe.
Sure, indeed. And I just want to encourage them to go and get vaccinated. There's no way out of the mess where we are except to get vaccinated. And I just want to appeal to Zimbabweans in the diaspora, in your family members, both sometimes if it comes from you, they trust you, you just think of the relationship that is there between the and the government. So whatever that comes from the government, people tend to take it with a pinch of salt, issues of mistrust. But when it comes from colleagues, from family members, from friends, people tend to listen. Please, let's encourage our relatives, our friends, our neighbors, and our colleagues to get vaccinated and physically distance. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Star. Thank you, Zimbabweans. We appreciate you.
Jump, 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 jump.